See by the wicked and rich coalition. For the 12 times, I don't know why. Woolly head, dark skin, son of the most high, yeah. Sing! Yoshiyahu. Loosen up your bones too tight. It's okay, it's alright. Here's a message from the club lost tracks. The phone can make a sad baby start crying. Make fish without fish start frying. I know you like it once you hear them stop lying. I feel good, I know you're better just trying. It's okay, it's alright. Yeah, it's alright. The first Thanksgiving the first Thanksgiving the first Thanksgiving that we learned about here is not simply an exaggeration. The first Thanksgiving was not just a fanciful retelling of an event. No, the first Thanksgiving is a manufactured national myth. It's a myth. It's a manufactured myth. And this myth
was intentionally constructed for several reasons. This myth was politically constructed, or I should say intentionally instructed for, number one, political survival. Number two, theological justification. Number three, racial innocence. And number four, the how do you say it? Erasure, to erase the truth of genocide. This is what is not taught in your schools. It is not taught that this first Thanksgiving is a myth that is made up. And every year, this time of year, I go through, I have difficulties getting through this time of year and this particular so-called season because years ago I was made aware of the genocide. Years ago I was made aware of the fact of what really took place that they didn't teach us in school. And I'm talking about from kindergarten. In the country we say kindergarten. Till I graduated from college. I was never taught the actual truth about the so-called first Thanksgiving. And when I woke up to the truth, I never shall forget when I woke up to the truth. I remember spending time, quality time, with my grandmother, who obviously was Native American. I've told you all that several times. I am Native American too. My grandmother and my grandfather Native American, and my grandmother and grandfather Native American and Hebrew. Come on now, then I'm a Native American / Hebrew Israelite. So I never forget, she was about 90, around 80, 88, 89, early 90s. She lived to be almost 100. So I remember sitting down talking to her. And when I started asking her questions about this, about her life, about the experience, about that side of history, I remember my grandmother. This is so strange. And all my sisters and brothers know what I'm finna tell y'all was the absolute truth. My grandmother, who was one of the most fun people, she was probably one of the most positive people anyone had ever met. She's Native American woman, short, real dark, long, straight hair. One of the things, she was just everybody's best friend, kind of, That would be a time when she would go quiet. And you would ask her questions and she would just shake her head like this. we'd be like, Grandma, tell us what happened. And she would just be like, it's too painful. That's what she would say. And at the time, I didn't understand it, obviously, because I'm a college student, educated in the so-called schools here. Supposed to be the best schools in the world. And I never understood why, when we brought up the subject of what really happened, she couldn't talk about it. And when I woke up to the truth, I started realizing why. And it was because of the untold story. Which, by the way, the untold story is the truth. So the truth is what is not being told. While the myth is being told and taught and spread as the truth. And if y'all can see the moray all right, and you can hear me all right, put a 12 in here for the 12 tribes of Israel, because we are going somewhere tonight, Zion, and we shall get into these Hebrew scripts. I told Rabbi for them 12, thank you. I saw a couple of blue wrenches in the room. Good to be in the house with all of you, my Heavenly Father's children. We must tell the truth at the Awakening Remnant Koalition. If nobody else is willing to tell the truth, I gotta tell it. Why, Moray? Separated. I was called before I was born, separated in my mother's womb, to be a seer to the house of Israel, called by Abaya in the last days, Zion, to help wake up Jacob and to show you the truth so that we don't fall for the lies, but we stand on the truth. And before you sneak listeners, you pig meat-eating preachers, you bacon grease deacons or anybody else decide they want to come in this room and cause havoc. Before y'all even get ready to try to cause trouble in here, I want my administrators to be on guard. We're letting the whole world know there won't be no rabble-rousing tonight. Dr. Yoshiyahu Dawid Ben Israel is speaking on the subject. And every year people wonder about me and say, man, every year, man, he got to say something. Yes, I cannot be silent. I got to say what my grandma couldn't. The world needs to know. And if the world don't know, the Israelites, the Hebrew Israelites that's waking up to truth, you better know something. We cannot celebrate genocide. We can't do it. We cannot celebrate violence. We cannot celebrate theological buffoonery. and ecclesiastical clowns. We cannot celebrate the weak-minded and weak-kneed and weak jelly black-back clergy that refuse to teach the people the truth, but continually lead the house of Israel into actions and behaviors that are against our covenant with Almighty Yah, against our covenant, against our King, against our culture, and against our relationship with the Most High Yahuwah, our Heavenly Father. No, there has to come a time when we stop it. There has to be a time when we stop that. Everything that happens among our people is about money, popularity. And the preachers are willing to sell out for chicken change, a pig ear sandwich, some hog maw and chitlins, instead of tell the people the truth and let the chips fall where they may. That's the Dr. Yoshiyahu that y'all have at the Awakening Remnant. I'm going to let the chips. Oh, Maury, what does that mean? Y'all talking about let the chips fall where they may. Oh, okay. Let me inform you where that came from. Back in the early days, why in the woods, we'd be chopping down a tree with an axe. And as you chop that tree, little pieces of wood would fly out as you chop it. And they would fly and land places. And the young strong man that was hitting the tree was looking around at where every chip fell. And the old man said, "Hey, boy, what you doing?" He said, "No, I was just looking to see where the chips is falling." He said, "No, that ain't your job. Your job is to focus on that tree and let the chips fall where they may." Preach more, right? Preach more, right? And that's what I'm doing. I'm focusing on the truth. I'm swinging this axe against the root of the tree, the trunk of the tree, not worried about where the splinters go. No, how about this? Let the chips fall where they may. I got a job to do. And that's to keep cutting at this truth. And if you all hear the moral and understand the moral, put a hallelujah 1,000 in the chat. Yes, already 1,000. And then you wonder why we ask for support. Who else gonna support us but you? This kind of preacher, this kind of teacher. Now, ain't no Thanksgiving offerings gonna be raised around here. No, we're not sitting down with no pig for dinner around here. There will be no hog maws boiling. There'll be no chitlins and pots of abomination happening around here. No more Yoshiyahu that we've been Israel ain't finna hold hands and stand around no manner of wicked swine flesh, no kind of sea roaches, none of that madness happens at the ARK and Remnant Koalition. So therefore we don't get the offering, the Thanksgiving offering. No, Zion. We support it by you. Your prayers and the biblical tithe. Why? for preaching the biblical message that needs to go forward. We are separated from the wicked pastors and preachers who would dare continue to lead our people in the celebration of the genocide of their own people. We're not doing that here no more. I try my best to forget about this time of year. But I was talking to my baby daughter, and I said, well, as soon as y'all get out of school, I'm going to pick you up from school, and we're going to go celebrate Social's birthday. And by the way, happy birthday to Social. Turned 8. I told the babies, I said, look, we're going to hang out, pick you up from school. We're going to hang out with Jazz and Social. Just have a good time, right? And she said, Dad, you done forgot? I said, what? Ain't no school this week. Why? Then she said, it's Thanksgiving week. And then I said, forgot all about it. She said, but don't worry. You already know. I said, I know. We don't celebrate it. No. See, when you raise up a child in the way they should go, when they get older, that particular path, they won't depart far from it. Our problem is that our leadership is not willing, so-called leadership, is not willing to tell the truth. And they're not willing to hurt a few feelings. And they're not willing to wake a few people up because they're scared. Scared of what, Mom, right? Losing. They're scared of losing friends. They're scared of losing family. They're scared of losing finances. But look who you all have. You all have a more, a real one, a seer, who's not afraid of losing friends, who's not afraid of losing finances. I ain't afraid. Why? Because I'm going to preach the unpopular message and trust that the people following the more say, you know what, even though I didn't really want to hear this message, I'm finna still send in my support, my tithes and offering, because we need someone like him and others to stay on that battlefield and stay on that wall and watch for the house of Israel. And tell everybody for your support. How to do it is in the chat. Let's get into this. What is that, Maureen? Let's get into why they told us this myth. The idea, the truth about what happened and the idea that's been pushed on us for years, and not just the sleeping Israelites, all of the Americans, except for the ones that are educated in the field, they know what I'm saying is true. But the Americas were not conquered righteously. It was violent. What happened on these American shores, I ain't talking about Europe, I'm talking about the Americas, which at that time had not been colonized by England, France, and Spain yet. It was a new frontier. The Americas were already filled with people. The Americas had millions and millions and millions of people here. When the English crossed over the Atlantic and landed on these shores, there is an estimate that just on the East Coast, just where the ships landed, we ain't even talking about the whole coast. I ain't talking about the whole coastline, just where the ships landed. They met 12 million people. There were 12 million people on the East Coast where them ships landed. The Wampanoag people, which is only one group, there's several others. Their name means people of the light, people of the dawn, because obviously being on the East Coast, they were there and they understood this about the sun rising. But I'm going to get into this a little bit later. We're going to find out they had a Hebrew connection too. And don't forget, we have a king that told us who we are. He said, you are the light of the world. And these people call themselves the people of the light. I ain't going to even do it. Look, y'all already got more from the Moreh than you ever got in school. Just now you got more education. That the people here call themselves the children of the light. And there was no sit down, everybody eat a pig, kill a bird, have some dressing with swine in it, green with swine in it. Do y'all know back in those days there wasn't no swine here? Moreh. Okay. You don't have to believe them, Moreh. We live in a day now, you do know you can Google stuff. And swine was brought over by the European. Our people ate clean. What went on there was not an act of friendship. What went on there was a political alliance that was forced on the natives of the country, the original people, who at this time had no other choice because they were dying by the millions. It's called germ warfare. The European colonizers still use germ warfare today. If you're still rolling with the Moreh, put a 10,000 in the chat. Right now, all over Europe and all over the Americas, there are laboratories set up to do nothing but study germs and germ warfare. They are set up all the way from China through the Europe, all through North, Southern, Eastern, and Western Europe. And in these United States, they constantly work through germ warfare. Why? Because it works. Plagues and diseases are like silent killers. And for our people who were the original people of this soil, we were clean. We ate clean. We lived clean. We bathed in water. And therefore, we did not carry deadly diseases in our bodies. We were healthy and holy. We were Kodash. And when the European, who all you got to do is go check their records. You don't have to believe them more, Ray. You can Google while I'm preaching. You can look up chat while I'm preaching. Fact check what I say. Don't believe me blindly like you believe them pig meat eating preacher. Don't do that. We passed them days. You got a computer and a cell phone. Europe was a cesspool. It was a cesspool of sickness, a cesspool of filth, a cesspool of disease. It was a dirty, nasty, stinking, disgusting place at this time. Poverty and filth and disgust and all manner of wickedness was going on in Europe at this time. And diseases were wiping out whole communities. When they finally figured out that these diseases could wipe out whole communities, they would take a diseased person, wrap him up in clothes. The person would then transfer his disease into blankets. The people then would die in those blankets. Them heathens would then bring those blankets on them ships and give the blankets with the germs and diseases to the people that were here, and the diseases spread to them and wiped out millions. I'm not talking about no 5 or 10. I'm talking about millions. Why? No antidote. Their bodies did not have enough of a defense against unknown diseases. They were too clean as a people, pure as a people, to be able to deal with that dirt and that filth and those diseases. They didn't know what it was. And they died. Men, women, boys, and girls, toddlers, and babies. Germ warfare and genocide. Not only was there germ warfare, death from diseases, there was also gun warfare. Y'all better write this stuff down tonight. What the germs didn't do, the guns did. So not only did you have germ warfare, just like they use today, they also had gun warfare, military might, powerful. They had guns. And I'm going to share something with you. I don't care how many bows and I don't care how many arrows our ancestors had here. Bows and arrows are no match for boom boom sticks. That's what our people call them. They say, white man got boom boom sticks. That heathen did not sit down over a table of swine flesh and negotiate a peaceful pact with our people. That's not what happened. They massacred them. And as they killed the people and massacred the people, as they moved almost like a disease, just think about that, like a plague on the land. As they moved and the people were dying, the people would then settle there. And instead of being called occupiers, instead of being called terrorists, because they were terrifying the people who lived there, instead of being called murderers and thieves, they were called settlers. They call themselves settlers. We're just settling down. Really? So you're just settling. That's what you're doing? So no germ warfare? You're a liar. No boom boom sticks? You're a liar. No massacre? You're a liar. Why you won't tell the truth? That's not a settler, somebody who just went somewhere, found some land, and been like, you know what, this seems like a nice place to settle down. It's not what happened, and you know it. Now, some of you in the room don't know it, but that's why I'm here. They took the land. And I don't care what they told you in school, let the Mormon tell the truth. Then they kidnapped the natives. And when they kidnapped the natives, they put them into slavery. They made them slaves. Now, I know that's not what you were taught in school. The school lied. Just like they told you was a nigger, they lied. Told you was a coon, spook, and all that, they lied. Now, what you are, basically, most of you are Hebrews watching the movie. But let me just keep moving on this subject, because I want to share why I'm so against this term. They enslaved us. They enslaved the natives. And this story that they've been telling, because they told it when I was a child. When I was a child, they said they tried to enslave the natives, but the natives would just not do it, and they would just rather die and fall over. You a damn lie. So what you're saying is that they tried to enslave the natives, but never was able able to succeed, so they just stopped doing it. You're liars. It's not what happened. You did enslave them. And you kept them in slavery until they died. That is the truth. And if anybody in here is still happy that I'm telling the truth, glad that there's somebody willing to preach it, even if you don't want to hear it. Put a 20,000 in the chat. They enslaved us. The natives were enslaved. They enslaved millions. Or I should say hundreds of thousands, because they had killed millions. They enslaved hundreds of thousands of natives. And the way they did it is exactly how they did the Israelites when they came over, when they captured them from the continent of Africa. They murdered the leaders of the tribes here in front of the women and children. They would string them by their feet and cut off their genitalia after having raped them in front of their women and children and other men. The natives had never seen such barbarism. They have never seen barbarians. They had never seen what the Bible called the worst of the heathen. They didn't even know that people like that existed on earth. And when that heathen would go from place to place and take the leaders and massacre them in front of the people, open execution, it made the other people fear them. Because they had germs that could kill without them even being here. What is that? They had sticks that shot fire and killed people at distances that they had never seen before. Where did that come from? And they had the ability to operate like a savage among civilized people. Where did that come from? They had never seen it on that scale. And so therefore, when the leaders were executed, it made it easy for the villages to be exterminated. So remember, we've been talking about this. The strength of any nation is the family, the house. The power, the governmental powers and European powers know that. Before they know anything else, they know they gotta get that man out that house with them women and children. They know that. In order to conquer, we gotta get that husband out. We have to get the man out of there so that we can be the man to the woman and children. So that she'll look to us for protection, us for food, us for livelihood, us for satisfaction, us for everything. So they did that when they got to the Americas. They got rid of the chief and rid of the men and then easily exterminated the women and children. And then began to mix with them. Yes, sexually, of course. They began to rape the women and the children, and y'all know that what the Moreh is telling you is the truth. And that's why when you see the so-called Native American today, he looks more European than he does Native American. And I don't need to just sit here and talk. Y'all know I brought the receipts. This is what they saw when they came here. This is who they met when they showed up on the shores. Get a good look at it, Zion. Know who you dealing with. That they never showed you. Not one of y'all saw this picture when you were in elementary school. Not one of y'all saw this picture when you was in high school. You didn't see this picture in college. But you see it at the Awakening Remnant Koalition. Britannica.com. Fair use, you heathens. Wampanoag. So here is what they saw. This is the Britannica. This ain't the Moray. This is the Wampanoag that they saw when the ships landed. Not my words. There it is at the bottom. I know it's backwards. I can't wait until I can figure out how to fix this. But y'all can see it. Right there where my finger is. Let's look at him. Get a good look, Zion. Oh yeah, let me leave it here for a moment. It's Britannica.com. Anything that's coming out of Britain, they got the originals. They teach you lies. They got the original. This is who they were calling the savage. This who they were saying was the demon. These people were trying to protect their families from the savages, and then the savages called them savage. And they in their own house. They in their own backyard. They in their own worship center. They drinking out their own water. They're living in their own house. What are you doing? What? If you're rolling with the Moray, put a 300,000. Oh yeah. How did they go from this to this? Can anybody explain that to me? How did you go from this to this? So now they're posing as the real people. But the encyclopedia say, no, these was the real people. Well, where are these people? You looking at one. And if you look in the mirror, some of y'all looking at one too. Look up United States reclassification. Don't take my word for it. I keep telling y'all. Look up the reclassification of the natives. And they reclassified them as Negro or black if they looked like me or you. This is the original that they saw. This is literally is telling you. Wampanoag, children of the light, people of the light. Now I better slow down because I'm probably losing some people. Some of y'all gotta give you time to look it up because you say, hey, man, Moray telling the truth or they lying? You ain't lying. If you're still rolling with the Moray, put a 500,000. Told I Rabbi, who's that? Put that in there. Z, told I Rabbi. Woo! receipts. My grandmothers on both sides of my family, Indian. They were American, Native American. My grandfather was a Hebrew Israelite on both sides. My grandmother not only knew her grandfather, who was a chief, but she also knew all the history. She didn't leave the reservation until she met my grandfather. And he got to the reservation running from the heathens who were trying to kill him. They enslaved us. And I hear this argument online, and it's a dumb argument. So let me fix that too. Y'all don't get caught up in these stupid arguments. The way the West wants you to think is always either or. It's got to be this or this. This or this. That is not the way normal people think. That is psychological warfare to make you get in a box, and whatever box you get in, you feel like you have to stay in that box, or you got to get out of that box and get completely in another box. Let me explain it to you like this. The idea that the way you think must operate down these straight lines, and that line cannot vary at all, is first of all an asinine way of thinking about the human mind, because the whole brain, everything is cyclical, first of all. But second of all, it will immediately begin to, I don't want to use the word, it begins to stupefy you. And most of the people that are talking about this subject and don't understand what I'm saying, a lot of them have already been stupefied. In other words, I heard the argument that nobody came from Africa, that only the Americans, the Native Americans, were enslaved. And then I heard some people say, no Native Americans was enslaved. All the slaves came from Africa. Get out that fight, y'all. That either or thing, that's mess. That's garbage. No, they enslaved both. They enslaved the natives, and they enslaved the Hebrew Israelites that they picked up in West Africa. Both are true. They enslaved natives, and they enslaved those that were not natives. Both of them are 100% true. It's not either or. Get out of that argument. It's a dumbass argument. And if you start asking, well, why were they able, why did they enslave so many of us from Africa? I told you why. They took our language. They took our name. They took our land. They took our rivers and it took everything away from us. Once you do that, then it's easy to control that person. But it's difficult to control a native nation. First of all, that was born here. They know all the hills. They know every cave. They know every good hiding spot. And they can talk their native tongue to each other. it became more difficult to enslave nations that still knew they were a nation. That's why after 150 something, what do you call those things? Not settlements. What do you call those? Somebody in the chat gonna know what I'm talking about. Treaties. They still, not only did they break every single one of them, they had to acquiesce and allow some of the natives to live and be free. Why? They realized something. This can go on forever. And it almost did. But because of the power of language and because of the power of a name, knowing their name and holding on to their heritage, it enabled them, a few, to maintain their identity. And the few that maintained their identity tried to pass it down to us. And we rejected grandma. Great grandmama tried to tell you who you were, but you rejected her. Your auntie tried to tell you who you was. You weren't in the room watching them all already. Your grandpa tried to tell you who you were, but you rejected and you laughed at your grandmama and your grandpa and your uncles. They told you, you Cherokee, baby. Huh? Yeah, you Cherokee. You Blackfoot Indian. I ain't no Blackfoot Indian, I'm a nigga. Oh my gosh. You Blackfoot, you Seminole. Everyone tried to, oh, you know what? Let me do this again. I've done this years ago. I'm going to do it again. Let me do it again. Let me prove to the world. Because we got sneak listeners in here from all over the world. And what I'm teaching right now ain't in the school books. Everybody in the chat watching the Moray, put in the chat what you heard you was. Put in the chat. I'm going to take my time and watch. Everybody in the chat, put in here what your parents told you that you were. All right, look. Cherokee, first one popped up. Cherokee. Said you was what? There's Blackfoot. Cherokee, Blackfoot. So, Choctaw, Blackfoot. Cherokee. Blackfoot and Cherokee. Choctaw, Pequot. I can't pronounce that. Pequot, I think it is. Cherokee, Blackfoot. Blackfoot and Cherokee, Cherokee. Tiano, Cherokee, Blackfoot, Blackfoot tribe, Cherokee, Pueblo, Cherokee, Blackfoot, Cherokee, Creek. Javon's grandfather, Javon and Jazz's grandfather on their mama's side was a Creek chief. Cherokee, Choctaw, Chippewa. So here's my question. Was everybody's grandma lying? Was everybody's daddy lying? So we just think that all our uncles were just lying, our grandpa was just lying, they just came up when they just made up stuff? No, they were trying to pass down to you your identity here. They were trying. They were trying to tell you who you were and who you are. And so many more names could have came through here if I had more time. We are the people the soil. And this soil was not named after a European. This soil was named after a conquering tribe, a great tribe called Amur. Y'all need to look that up too. It's the original name. And out here in California, I ain't gonna get into all this, but the woman who was powerful out here in California, when they met her, that was her name. And they named the state after her. A black woman who was a queen and a native of the land. And I got another thing I better say while I'm swimming in deep water. I've got to help my people. Native Americans moved around all the time. Don't let somebody tell you that if you ain't from Oklahoma, your people can't be such and such. You a damn lie. My people moved from Oklahoma. They would go through Texas. They would go through Arizona. They would go to California. Some of them, I always make a joke about this, but it's the truth. Many of them, as they traveled, when they got to California, they said, oh, this is it. I ain't going nowhere. I done found the Garden of Eden. So many of them didn't go back to Oklahoma. They didn't go back to Louisiana, Mississippi, Texas. They say, I'm staying out here. Trying to make it plain to the world. It's both. We are natives, and you just proved it by what your grandparents or your uncles or your cousins told you. We proved it on that. We also proved it on the Bible, Deuteronomy 28, about them slave ships. So on this continent, on this soil, we are both the sons and daughters of the slave trade and the actual natives of this country, the original people of this land. And that's why there is such disdain for us. That's why there is so much secrecy surrounding us. That's why they never want you to dig into your history. They never want you to know your roots. They made you think your own grandma was crazy for telling you that you was a Cherokee, that you was a Creek, that you was a Blackfoot. So you looking at your own mama and your own grandma and your own auntie and your own grandpa and your own uncle. You looking at them crazy because they telling you who you are and you don't want to believe it. You just trying to pass down the truth. I mean, they were trying to pass down the truth to you and you rejecting the truth. Think about the psychological damage you must have to tell your own parents they lying. My grandmother grew up on a reservation. And now the people on the reservation don't even want us to show up to the powwow. We can't even go over there and smoke a tobacco pipe. Now we got to go through all kind of, why? Separated. And just like we were replaced, just like I'm getting ready to get to that in a minute, just like there was a so-called replacement of us by the European at the house of Israel, there was also a replacement of us as the natives here by the Europeans. The curses that are in them verses are not just in one location. The curses that are in those verses followed us no matter where we went. It didn't matter if we went as far as the Americas. Them curses in them verses was coming. Who is that? Them Europeans. Now, if y'all still with the Moray, put another 500,000 in the chat. Let me continue to try to make it as clear as I possibly can why we don't participate. Because it involved this, the real story is the mass death from European diseases. The occupiers stole the land, kidnapped our people, put us in slavery, executed our leadership, and then eliminated our villages. And this country was unwilling to have that truth as their, can I say it like this? They didn't want that truth to be their origin story. They don't want their origin story to start with plague, germ warfare. Can you imagine this country saying, we're going to start with, this nation was founded and our celebration will be because of plague, land theft, enslavement, and genocide. That's how we're going to start this country. That's how they did start it. Let's not fool ourselves. That's how it started. That's not how America started. That's how the United States started. And there's a difference between the Americas and the United States. The Americas is a continent divided into three different continents. We have North America, Central America, and South America. All of the America is a continent. Americans are from the tip of South America all the way up to Alaska, through Canada. It's a continent. The Europeans conquered what they called the United States of America, that piece. And they did it through plague, land theft, enslavement, genocide, but they rewrote it. They made a myth, a mythological story. And their mythological story changed all of that into a harmless feast, sitting down at a table, eating swine flesh. You know what really happened? They changed the story and never taught it in school because they had to justify European colonization. And this is the part that I gotta mention before I get out the room. See, that European, as he went all over the world, he tried to make colonization positive, when colonization was the worst thing ever happened to us, to the world. And they said that they were able to do that, to conquer the world, because God gave them the power to do it. And when they mean God gave them power, they're talking about guns. And they're talking about the savage heart and the conquering heart to do it. It's one thing to give somebody a gun. It's another thing for that person holding that gun to be so evil and wicked and cold-hearted and sick and twisted that they could kill millions of people and say, God told me to do that. So who do you think you are? You know what they said? We think we're Israel. Now, if y'all heard the Moray loud and clear, put a 600,000 in the chat. I said they believed they were Israel. Us. And they said, when we go all over the world, we're going like Abraham. Everywhere our foot land, Yah gave it to us. We are the Israelites. The rest of the world are the Canaanites. And just like Yah told Israel to go into the land of Canaan, since we are Israel, everywhere we put our feet down, that's Canaan. And every person in the land are Canaanites. You a damn lie. You are what the Bible called the worst of the heathens. You are the conquerors that are coming down, Gog and Magog. You are the ones that have turned the Torah, changed the dates, changed our times, changed the feast days, changed our diet, changed our laws, changed our statutes, operated completely against the Torah, and you claim to be Israel? No, you from Japheth. We are from Shem. We are through Eber, Abraham, Isaac, then Jacob. And they justify it because of what's called replacement theology. And let me clear something up about that too. Yah went into covenant. Y'all better hear me now. Yah had some kind of covenant with the Canaanites that were in the land of Canaan. Now, y'all got to hear the moral on this one. I can't go too deep with this, but just listen to me. The covenant between the original Canaanites and Yahuwah, Canaanite just means the land of Canaan, was that if they broke Yah's laws, statutes, and commandments, that they would be ran out the land. If they did wickedness, because he said Canaan is mine. Yah claimed Canaan as his own land. It was his. And he allowed the Canaanites, he said, but if y'all act the fool, you're going to get up out of here. The land will spit you out. And he gave them time, hundreds of years to repent. More study it. That's what happened. That's the truth of why the Canaanites got ran out the land. Not just because the Israelites were just going off everywhere they wanted to go and just killing everybody, pillaging, burning down villages, working unjustly, raping and carrying on. We couldn't do that. That is not in the Torah. And let me explain something else to you heathens and sneaking knuckles and pig meat eaters. Yah told the house of Israel exactly why he was moving the Canaanites out that land. You better go back and read your Bible. find in the book of Exodus and Leviticus. Because of the wickedness that they were doing, they would have to go. And the Most High, and in Deuteronomy, and the Most High said, now listen to me, house of Israel, I'm going to give you the land of Canaan because of their wickedness. It done reached to my nose and it stinks. When you go over there, if you start doing the things that got the Canaanites kicked out, you will be kicked out head first. You will be kicked out headlong. You won't get up out the land. The land will spit you out. That's the real Bible. That's the real Hebrew Israelite truth. They did not go over to the land just killing willy-nilly. There were some people in the land, when you read it, Yah allowed to stay there. That's how we got the name Jerusalem. There were people that were allowed to stay in their homes. But then Israel began to take on the lifestyle of the Canaanites, following other gods, Baal and Ashtaroth, Christmas and Easter, and Thanksgiving. They started performing all of the works and the rituals. They started disobeying the laws, statutes, and the commandments and became like the Canaanites. And guess what happened? Yah allowed that European slaver to come down and destroy our city, tear down our walls, tear down our temple, steal our menorah, steal our scrolls, and we were scattered to the four corners of the earth. Just like the text said. So no, you can't say that every single place we went, we claimed that as ours, as though we were going to go through the whole world and put our foot down. That is not what the Bible said. But when these heathens say that they were us, they believe that. Anywhere in the world they went, they could have it. That's what they taught. Because they said that they were the true Israelites and the rest of the world was Canaanites, and that their God had gave them the land. I got a whole nother series of messages I'm working on, talking about what the Messiah rejected, what our Messiah rejected, that he then accepted. What our Messiah rejected, that European accepted. What is that? Do you remember the temptation after the Most High, after our Messiah was in the wilderness? 40 days and 40 nights, having not eaten nor drank water. And Satan came to him. Remember that? One of the things Satan said to him that he rejected was, if you bow down to me, I will give you all of the kingdoms of the world. All you gotta do is bow down and worship me. Our king turned around and said, get behind me, Satan. Bow down to you. Not bending my knee to the devil. Yah said that we have only one Yahweh. And only him do we serve. But that heathen When Satan told him, hey, I'll show you all the kingdoms of the world. All you got to do is bow down and worship me. That kingdom said, I'll bow down right now. And ever since that time unto now, that heathen and Hasatan have a relationship that is almost unpenetratable. It can't be broken. It's permanent. And you know what happened? Ever since then, they have conquered the world and they've been empowered. The Europeans, from Alexander the Freak to right now, where we're living in Babylon with them 10 toes that are iron and clay, from that time until now, it's been under the power of the beast, Gog and Magog, destroying the people and destroying the earth. All saying at the same time that they are the spiritual Israel. What spiritual Israel? You don't keep the Shabbat. You don't follow the 10 Commandments. You claim to be atheist. You don't know what a man is. You don't know what a woman is. You feel like everywhere you go, you can have all the resources, all the land, all the water, all the oil, all the gold, all the silver, all the cobalt. No, you heathens, you made a deal, and you know you did. And then you made up a myth of a Puritan story of sitting around with some happy Indians and some happy pilgrims. That was a myth. And the reason you needed a myth was because the true story was too hard. See, we told the truth about our story. When you read the Torah, you're going to see the truth about the children of Israel. It's all in the book. We don't hide the truth. We don't even hide the truth about the fact that when our deliverer came to our people, Moses, when he came to our people in Egypt, you know, they told him, man, I don't know where you came from. You need to leave. That's how our nation got started. We got to tell the truth about our nation. They told him, man, who made you a leader over us? Yeah, we wasn't always a righteous nation, but the truth about our nation is recorded in the Bible, and we have to teach it. We have to teach that after 40 years of wandering in the wilderness, the majority of the people that came out of Egypt died in the wilderness. We have to teach that. That's the truth, because of wickedness and sin. We got to preach that Moses didn't even get in. We got to preach that when we got in the promised land, Achan stole some clothes and a piece of gold and got his whole family wiped out by Yah, because he caused 36 other Israelites to lose their life because he was being greedy and selfish. We have to teach that too. Everything about our history is recorded. So when we look at how our nation was set up, we didn't have to make up no mythological story of sitting around with our enemies eating swine flesh. So they want to erase the massacre. If I'm pronouncing this wrong, forgive me. Pequot massacre. Look it up. Pequot. 500 men, women, and children were burned alive. What? Burned alive. Can you imagine children? The closest thing that you can see to that today is the Gaza situation. But once again, you can see how the people with the big guns can do whatever they want to the people with no guns. And there they are, burned alive. And it was this burning of men, women, and children, 500, that the colonists set up Thanksgiving for. The colonizers believed that God allowed them to burn those people to take their life. And therefore they gave God thanks for the death of the 500 men, women, and children that they were able to burn, and how they were able to conquer that nation of people and take their stuff. That's the real story. And then they were, more, we're always going overboard. I ain't never going overboard. When I come in the room on Thanksgiving, I tell the people the truth about what happened. I'm not going overboard. I'm not telling you everything. I'm just telling y'all stuff that's on the surface enough to get you to understand that as a people, you need to stop that. Because the Most High is looking. And he's watching us. And our history cannot be erased. We must not let the captors tell our story and control our mind. I got one more thing to say. I'm going to skip all this other stuff. I'm finna get out the room. They made up a story, it's a lie. What really happened was a massacre. And y'all hear me say it all the time. I say, thanks killing, right? Because they were thankful for killing people. That's what really happened. That is the actual truth. That's what, if you study and do the research, to my knowledge, every single thing that I've said to you today, you can research it online. You can research it through encyclopedias. It's not secret. It's only secret to the people who don't want to know, but it's out now. So let me show you how that's against the Torah. So-called people that replaced us, but not operating according to Torah. Number one, Yahuwah condemns land theft. Put that in the chat. Yah condemns stealing land. Everybody put that in the chat. Yah condemns stealing people's land. When you steal someone's land, you incur the wrath of Yah, not his blessings. Hosea chapter 5 verse 10 says, the princes of Judah are like those who move boundary markers. Who is that? The heathen. I will pour out my wrath on them like water. You don't take people's land unlawfully. I just told you. I ain't got time to go into the history of Israel. But you're going to discover that there were some nations that were in the land that Yah told us don't even fight them. Don't bother them. I've given them this land. These people have this land, and you can't have it. And guess what? We couldn't have it. And we had to live with the fact we couldn't have it. We couldn't be like, well, we're going to go get it anyway. Because that's what the heathen does. I want you to see the difference. They're not spiritual Israel. They're working under Hasatan. Land theft is condemned in the Bible. Deuteronomy chapter 19, verse 14. You shall not move your neighbor's boundary stone, which their ancestors have set. Man, our people, our ancestors been in this nation, on this soil for thousands and thousands of years. That European came over here, man, and tore up all our graveyards, tore up all our temples, tore up all our menorahs. Man, tore down all of our work. You do know, right? In the Smithsonian, they done uncovered the history and found out that some of the natives were reading and writing Hebrew. What are you talking about? Yeah, pictograph and paleo. Here. I'm Dr. Yoshiyahu that we've been in Israel. And somebody wonder why I always tell people that. Because I want you to know you're dealing with a real doctor. I said, do your research. They found Hebrew writing here and they covered it up. They found the Ten Commandments here. They covered it up. They found our tabernacles here because when we left, we built tabernacles. They covered it up. We separated our people into tribes, just like the 12 tribes of Israel were around the tabernacle that Moses built. And they covered it up or burnt it to the ground. We didn't even know when they were saying, hi-ya, hi-ya, hi-ya. We didn't even know what they were saying. You thought they were saying, ya-ya, hi-ya. They didn't even know because they don't know Hebrew. That our Heavenly Father's name is Yahuwah. They moved our people out. Yah condemns that. Yah condemns genocide and mass violence. He hates those who shed, according to the Proverbs, innocent blood. Proverbs 6:16 and 17. He hates those who shed innocent blood. And yet this nation was built on the shedding of innocent blood. Deuteronomy 27, cursed is the one who kills an innocent person secretly. How many murders and killing have been done that never came to light? How many stories can these old trees tell? The massacres that took place along these rivers, like the Mystic River slaughter. Psalm 94, 5 and 6. They kill the widow and the stranger. They don't care. They think Yah don't see them. He does. Number 3, Yah condemns enslaving and kidnapping. Go to Exodus chapter 20, verse 15. Everybody go. Exodus chapter 20, verse 15. Thou shalt not steal. You see that? You're talking about the spiritual Israel and stealing? You're stealing people. That's kidnapping. And look, I done told the house of Israel, y'all using this government to steal children. You better stop that. You can't steal You can't steal kids. You can't steal people. You cannot steal humans. Yah condemns kidnapping. The enslaving of the people here, stealing their lives and their souls, and the enslaving of the Africans. And look, I got a time thing I was going to bring out tonight. But it's so interesting when you look at the timeline between the so-called Thanksgiving celebration and the first slave here in the 1600s. Those two lies, they go together. You're supposed to be spiritual Israel and you're stealing people by the millions? No. If you kidnap a person, the kidnappers, not the people, the kidnappers are to be put to death. But you let somebody like the moral rate come up and tell people you can't take people's children. You can't take someone's child. You can't take somebody's husband. So you can't kidnap somebody's wife. You can't kidnap somebody. What are you doing? And they say, well, if we wouldn't have done it, somebody else would have. And you spiritual Israel? No, heathen. That's not how the Bible works. And you're not going to put that on the house of Israel. Yah himself places the death penalty on the foundation of colonial or colonization and occupation through kidnapping and slavery. Another reason why the truth is not taught is because the Europeans honestly believed in their heart that they were supreme, that they were above, and that everyone under them were either savages that needed to be enslaved or demons that needed to be enslaved. That's how they looked at the rest of the world. I remember one year during the 4th of July, and people got upset with the Moore because I read the Constitution. I read the Declaration of Independence. I read it to the people, and they got mad at me. I didn't write the Declaration of Independence. When I read the line about the savages, people was like, I can't believe it. I said, hey, the doctor is reading what's in there. You call my people savages, and you won't take it out. To this day, you won't take that out, that line. Why? Because it's the original. And you got mad at Cap. I'll never forget that either. Boy, they threatened, when I first welcome to the truth, boy, I was telling these Europeans that call themselves Hebrew roots, I told them the truth, that the feast days are about a slave people being free and walking in the freedom and returning to Torah so that we could be free, right? And I'm teaching that. Boy, they got so mad at the Moray that some people in that group went to the leader and said, if you don't get rid of him, we all walking out. And I told that heathen leader, I said, look, man, these are heathens that you're working with. You and these heathens can have this. I'm out. Don't lose money, because that's your whole thing is money. Don't lose money over me. Don't lose money over the truth. I'm out. Y'all can keep this little white supremacist group going on out here in these woods. That's up to you. But I tried to tell them the truth. Y'all mad at Kaepernick because he bowed his knee. What was he doing? He said, stop the police brutality. He didn't say nothing against America. He didn't say nothing against the national anthem. He didn't say nothing against the military. He didn't say nothing against the army, nothing against the Navy, nothing against the Marine. He only said, hey, y'all killing too many of these people, man, with their hands up. Stop it. Somebody got to bring attention. And they lied and say he will not be patriotic. You're going to hell for that too. That song says there is no hope. There is no relief. There is no freedom for us but the grave. And you want us to stand up, put our hand on our heart, and sing to the world that we want to confess that there's no freedom for us but the grave? You want me to put that on stand up, put my hand on my heart and sing that song? You out of your goddamn mind. And I almost said something, but I know we got short leggers. I was at a football game the other day, surrounded by nothing but heathens. That song came on, they all stood up while I sat there and ate chicken. Oh yeah, on my lap. Didn't move, ate the chicken during the song. All them heathens looking at me, is he gonna stand up? Is he gonna salute? Is he gonna put his hand over his heart? Hell no. Well, what he gonna do? Eat chicken? Fried chicken? Yes, fried chicken and french fries. Oh yeah. In front of everybody. He disrespected. Oh, so it's respectful to say that my only freedom is the grave? No, see, I'm free already. Y'all don't understand that. I'm a free. That's what you're gonna learn about the Morehyosh. I'm free now. The Most High have set me free. I don't have to stand up when you tell me to stand up no more. Why ain't he standing? Oh, because I'm already free. Remember you said I wasn't going to be free, but I'm free. See, I don't have to stand up when you stand up. If y'all still in the room, put an 800,000. I got to go. Put an 800,000. I said I'm free. Not less than a human. No, I'm made in his image. When y'all made me, he said, let us make man in our image and in our likeness. Therefore, I don't care what the heathens say about my image. My image is his image. My likeness is his likeness. I wish I could get our people to see that. You letting the heathen tell you how to look, and you look like Yah. So now our people who resemble Yah, you gotta put a wig on your head to look like them? That make no sense. You got the best hair on earth. Nobody has your hair. It's the most wonderful hair ever given to any people. Is the hair on your head. I'm talking to the house of Israel right now. Your hair is the most unique hair in the world. It's the most beautiful hair. And you let the heathen convince you to burn your own scalp and to pull your own hair out your head because they told you it was nappy. How in the hell are you going to tell me what my hair is? Nigga, my hair is curly. It's wonderful and it's beautiful. And if you don't like it, that's up to you. I'm not going to go get some dead person's hair and put it on my head. And these heathen that got you trying to look like them, they don't even look like what you think they look like. I know it's about, I don't know how many people in the room right now, but listen to me. I know 1,000 people gonna watch this video, maybe 5,000. I want everybody in the room, whenever you see a so-called white woman, a blonde, look at her roots. And you're gonna find there ain't no blondes. I'm an artist, so I see everything when I see people. It's a blessing and a curse. Look at their roots. And you're going to see that you're trying to be something that they're not even themselves. They all got either black hair or brown hair or something. They ain't nobody blonde. They all coloring their hair. And then you trying to be like them, and that ain't even their natural hair. Jeez, that ain't their color. Boy, if they pull that makeup off their skin, y'all gonna see things you ain't never seen before. Some of y'all may not be able to eat at night. You're trying to be something that you're not because you've been beat down by the beast. But the Moreh is here to lift you back up. I'm here to tell you, ain't nobody got hair like us. Nobody has beautiful skin like us. Stop marking it. You already colored, baby. You already got the color. Abba, y'all already colored you beautiful. Your shade, you can't add green to your skin and improve yourself. When you add green to your skin, it look weird. And it get darker. And then you try to put different colors and they all get, and you be wondering why. Because y'all made you perfect. And he told Israel, don't do like the heathen. What do the heathen do? They mark their skin. Don't mark your skin. But here we go, following the heathen, and then wonder why we got problems. You know the record is still out on what those things do to your health, to your bloodstream, and watch, and psyche. Well, are you talking about Thanksgiving? Oh, yes, because I'm trying to show you the truth. I'm trying to show you all something. The truth of the matter is, this thing that they got calling Thanksgiving is a myth. It's a cover-up. And it's against the Most High Yah. Yah condemns the breaking of treaties. They broke his covenant. The U.S., here's the number. I knew I had it in my notes. The United States broke over 370 treaties with the indigenous nation. And this is a biblical indictment. Why? Because Yah declares judgment on nations who break treaties, especially when you swear to quote unquote God. That's Ezekiel chapter 17, verse 15. You know what? I'm out here now. I might as well finish. Number 6. Yah condemns violence in conquest. As I said before, it's the difference between the land of Israel that was given to the house of Israel. Every heathen in the world can't take that claim for themselves. Habakkuk chapter 2, verse 12 says, woe to him who builds a town with blood and establishes a city through injustice. Woe means you're going to hell. That's what that word means. When you say woe to him, that means you're going to hell if you do this. That's why Paul said, woe is me if I don't preach. Remember, I'm going to hell if I don't preach. Woe to the nations that do this. In other words, you're going to hell if you don't do this, right? Woe to the people that do this. So if he says, woe to him who builds a town with blood and establishes a city through injustice, how do you think that this is spiritual Israel? It's ridiculous. They had no right. Micah chapter 2, verses 1 and 2. They covet fields and seize them. They oppress families and take their inheritance. That's what happened. This describes colonial settlement. One person said, it was written down, they said, with surgical accuracy. I said, damn, that's some good writing. Yeah. That's how accurate it is. There's no such thing as white supremacy. There's only violence, gunpowder. There's only heathens. There's only evil. And there's only wickedness. And a person who becomes more powerful through wickedness and evil doesn't make them supreme. That doesn't mean anything. Especially if they treat the house of Israel like that. But we are not called to seek any type of vengeance. Maury, what? I know y'all gonna say that. No, we can't. Why? Because Deuteronomy tells us that vengeance is mine. Yah said that about us. Well, first of all, it's very interesting that in the Bible, Yah clearly tells us that we would be in a situation under this beast, being treated like this all over the world, and that we'll be taken into this situation through slave ships, right? So he also told us that we will be powerless against these enemies. And I know people hate to hear that, but it's just the truth. You can't whoop this beast. That's Yah got that set up like that. We had to pay for our sins that we committed against him. But woe unto the person who touches us, one finger on us. He said, anybody who just barely touches you, touches the apple of my eye. Listen, this world is in trouble. And I need to keep telling you Israelites this. That also goes for you who put your hand on another Israelite. That also goes to you that mistreat your brother, your sister, that mistreat your family. Though that thing, man, he's real about that. You cannot touch us. His children on earth are off limits. So anyone who says no, they can get it like everybody else, you don't know the Bible. You don't know what the scripts say. See, I'm a dad. I'm a real father. And I got one son and 3 daughters. And I got 3 grandchildren. The whole world better hear this. Those people are off limits to you. You can't touch them. Now, I hope you don't touch nobody. I hope you don't ever treat nobody bad. You don't put your hand on nobody. You don't be cussing nobody. I hope you be good to everybody. I really do. I hope you do. But I got something to tell you. I'm a father, and I'm finna tell you something. There are some people in this world that are off limits to you touching them. Well, we don't do that. Okay. You might never believe me. Don't try me, though. That's what you shouldn't do. And if I feel like that about my children, much more does Yahuwah feel like that about us? Because Yahushua, our King, he died for us. He shed his blood for the lost sheep of the house of Israel. Yah was in Hamashiach reconciling us back to him. And you think you can touch us and get away with it? No. We're going to tell the truth at the Awakening Remnant. And that's why we ask for support. That's why we tell the people, support them. Where else are you going to go to get this kind of information along with the scripts? Telling the truth that you can research. Why? So that you don't participate in this wicked feast that's coming up. It's wicked. And don't tell me, already, that's the way it was back then. We don't believe that now. So what do you believe now? Can you stand up for anything in the Bible? Can you stand up for anything of principle? Can you stand up for anything of your culture? Can you have pride in anything? And I don't mean foolish pride. I'm talking about national pride. Can you just stand up and tell one meal, hell no? The Bible was right, and it's always right. When the Bible said, their God is their belly. I'd rather eat a bowl of soup. I'd rather not eat nothing all day than to sit down and celebrate the massacre of my people, the hanging and the burning, the looting and the stealing of the land, which is also connected to the slave trade. And I didn't get to that point today because that's also involved. When you read the timeline, you will see it. I just didn't get there today. I'd rather not eat nothing than to dishonor my heritage and dishonor my mom and my dad and my grandparents and dishonor the actual people, the real people who died needlessly and innocent in order for the European colonizers to steal the land. No, you got me messed up. I gotta get out the room. But I ain't gonna do it. Because I serve a risen Savior. Who come to seek and to save that which is lost. And you know what he told me? He said if I follow him, he got a banquet table prepared. Ain't gonna be no Thanksgiving banquet. No. There's another banquet prepared. What is that? For the overcomer. Yeah. If y'all learn something tonight, put a 1 million in the chat. If you have been invited to the real banquet, to the real Thanksgiving, if your name is on the roll over yonder, when we'll sit down with him, put a 1 million. Don't worry about what they're doing down here. Our King is coming. We're going to eat. Y'all know I love you with all my heart. I really do. That's why I put forth these messages to try to help you support the work of the ARK. How more? Tithes and offerings. How to do it is in the chat. Don't get caught up in this wickedness. Tell the heathen, no, I don't celebrate that. No, auntie. No, grandmama. I'm not doing that this year. I gotta go. But until next time, keep looking up, for our redemption draws nigh. Shalom. What they never taught you in school about Thanksgiving, I taught you tonight. All praise, honor, and glory to the Most High Yah. Shalom.